All right.
hmm
Alan, how's your day been, man?
Fantastic. I'm off this week, so um, yesterday and today I woke up, got coffee, went to the Peddler's Mall because that's what I do. I just pretend like I'm retired if I do a staycation. And I get there right when it opens. This is the lamest thing ever, but I get there right when it opens. I spend a couple hours in there, get a bunch of stuff from my walls if I can find it. Actually, 90% of this is I found either it was either bought by somebody that specializes in it, or given to me from someone at a game, or it came from a peddler's mall. But the only downside is I was in there, and yesterday and today, especially today, the one in Okolona, which is really good, but very like dusty in there, like a bunch of old stuff. So the older I get, I guess my body like is more and more like has a reaction to
Sure,
it.
sure.
But like overall, it was a pretty chill day. I was excited about this game, a little bit nervous, not gonna lie, pregame, but glad everything worked out the way we wanted it to. So I'll take it. What about you? How was your
Dude,
day?
you're not kidding. You are not kidding. I need to learn more about the Peddler's Mall adventures, though. Like, I was not prepared for you to come with Peddler's Mall stories, but I love it.
Yeah.
Is that's kind of like your thing, Peddler's Mall?
Like it's the thing that I'm like, yeah, this is like yesterday and today I hit them, and like you can't hit them all the time because it's the same stuff, for like 6 months, and like stuff that like good stuff comes and goes, it dwindles, right? Like I know this because I do, right? Like, but I know the really good ones. I know the ones that aren't good. I'm not gonna shade anybody by saying the bad ones, but like the best one is in Middletown. It's incredible.
It's pretty good.
So much throwback stuff, and you can literally look at every single thing and find something, that's like worth like I think I have a future in like buying and selling stuff like this, maybe. I don't know. Or just buying it and hoarding it forever. So, but yeah, it's fun. If you're into that, boring stuff like me. So,
I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
It is as far as people come trickling in. By the way, if you want to jump into the chat, please feel free to
Hello,
do so. We'll get
everybody.
everybody up there on the screen. Let's see here. I'm really bad about only showing our text on the bottom of the screen for 10 seconds, Alan. But no,
Oh,
I mean we are officially done with exhibition season. First of all, I love that college basketball does this. I love that we
yeah.
get a preseason in college basketball. I wish that we would do this in college football. I understand why they don't do it, but I think it would just take away so many of the concerns that we have. Right? Um,
Yeah.
allow allow teams to get the jitters and the mess ups out of the way. Allow them to actually play a real game against a real team. At least
Yeah.
do a secret scrimmage. Do something. Right?
Yeah.
Like I think with college football, I mean, if you win a national championship, you're playing what 16, 17 games at this point now.
Right. No kidding.
Um, at this point, you're playing basically a, a modified NFL season. You might as well have at least one preseason game, and fans would get up for that. I mean, imagine. I'm just trying to think: Clemson, Alabama, Texas A&M, like they're selling out a preseason game. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
another way for schools to make money. I don't get why they haven't
hmm
done that, other than maybe the NCAA has just been vehemently against it. But I love, I want to say love exhibition season. I love Louisville exhibition season because
Yeah.
that means that we get to talk ball. And that means that, we're just a few days away from this thing really mattering. This coming
hmm
Monday, 6 days away, Alan.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm
I,
not worried about anybody. I'm literally not watching anyone else's team. The only other exhibition game that I actually watched was Kentucky Purdue, and I probably would have checked in on it a little bit anyway. By the way, Jasper Johnson does look great. Everybody in my mentions trying to compare Michael and Jasper over the past like week or so. He does look great. I'm just that was a sample size, right? But like the only reason I watched that game is because I'm in a house divided, as I said on the last podcast, and we just kind of have learned to deal with each other in here. But and I also get to watch basketball. Like that's an excuse to take the TV away from the toddler, just to let you know how my household works. The toddler
yeah.
runs everything. So,
Oh, of
um,
course. Yeah,
but
that's
when basketball or football is on, we're like, hey man, listen, this is the one thing because you need to learn this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, if I say what goes on the TV and then if somebody doesn't put it on TV and I start crying and stomping my feet, I'm toxic. But if
Yeah,
a child does it for some reason, that's fine. That's
right.
good. So,
Yeah,
uh,
just because you've lived on the earth longer, right? I mean, and
yeah, yeah. What
yeah,
the
yeah,
audacity, Alan. Uh,
silly.
Anyways, let's talk some ball, man.
Hmm.
Louisville started exhibition season against Kansas. Didn't go the way we wanted it to from the jump.
No,
Right, kind of reminded you a little bit of that Tennessee game to start the season last year, just a
it
little bit,
did. It
in the
did.
sense that people were, they were getting up for the game regardless of it mattering or not. The fact that
Hmm.
this is for a Kansas fan, right? This is their first time to check out the Center, probably. Uh,
Yeah,
for a for a Louisville fan, it's your first time to see your team, perhaps in your lifetime, play Kansas.
yeah. Roman,
At,
Jake, you know.
yeah, I mean, at least for people who were, I wasn't really cognizant. I don't really remember the last time Louisville played Kansas. I was alive, but it wasn't a
Hmm.
big part of my life. I can tell you that. I was probably the one stomping my feet about the TV. So full
Right.
circle story there, Alan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, showing against Kansas wasn't what we expected. Darren Peterson, I don't want to say wasn't what we expected, but didn't live up to the hype. Darren Peterson absolutely lives up to the hype. My God, that guy is annoyingly good.
Hmm.
Michael Brown a little shaky out the gates against Kansas.
Yep.
Louisville as a whole a little shaky, right?
So, yeah. Everybody and what let's circle back to what you just said about exhibitions and why, like, we love it, but it's also like that's why that visit to Bahamas last what was that, August or October? Was it October? I don't remember what month that was last year
So
when they
last year it was like July 29th and 30th or something like that, 30th and
right.
31st. Don't ask me
That's
why I
right.
know that.
Yeah. No, I mean it was over the summer. Good call. But like not like we didn't I needed that because I'm crazy and like, we're crazy fans. Like I needed to see that. I needed to see them play 40 minutes of basketball.
Hmm.
Um but Pat Kelsey, like you need because you mean people can come look at your squad. You have the what's his name, Rothsteins of the world that come in and say, yeah, I think this team, like he does the selfie up here of
Hmm.
just his hair and his eyes
Hmm.
are kind of looking up at it, and he's like, I think this team is a top 10 team or top 15 or whatever he said. I don't remember how he rated us, but until you play other teams and actually use your stuff and your talent against other teams, you don't really know. And I cannot express enough how much getting reps outside of your family or like outside of your beehive, like they matter so much, like to building your team and saying, okay, well, and mind you, like the Kansas game, it's an example of a coach, a really great coach, Hall of Famer that had months to prepare for you, and he did an excellent job scheming for you, taking away everything you were scheming for him. And not saying that Pat Kelsey didn't do a good job, but I think our guys, and you saw it tonight. We kind of lit it up against Bucknell, but in the Kansas game, it's like getting reps against other people is different. It literally does take play by play, possession by possession to build the rapport. It is building a rapport because Michael's like, it's a different game when he comes to play Kansas than it is over in France when he was just like pulling up from wherever. And they're like, yeah, green light, buddy. Like it's different when you're playing against guys that are, they're like, this is my fifth year in college or whatever. And they're like, I came here like not to be the guy, but I came here to probably be the leading scorer, i.e., Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely. So that's the difference, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and to your point, Alan, I mean, I think that Bucknell tonight reminded you a lot more of July of last year, right? Where you're not playing against bellhops, but it's not Kansas either, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that there weren't those jitters there. The crowd is probably less than half of the size against a Bucknell than it was against Kansas, and the team that you're playing is a lot smaller, right? So the competition, the battle down low, mattered a lot less in the sense that they didn't have to pay as much attention to that. Defensively, they're not putting so much attention on that, and they're able to dictate the pace a little bit more with a team full of, probably top five, top 10 talent wise roster in the country.
Sure.
Um, So against Kansas, you don't quite have that. But I mean, to your point, I think it was reminiscent of that in a sense that they made 22 threes, they had 26 assists. Those would both be that would be sorry, they made 23 threes, right? That would
20,
be
23 of 45. Yep.
that would be the school record in the regular season or postseason.
Yeah.
And 26 assists is up there, right? Like that's not the record, but you're creeping towards 30. That's pretty damn good. And then you look at a Michael Brown. He scored almost a point per minute that he played. And then Louisville as a whole, just points per possession wise. I mean, I know at one point late in the first half they were at 1.3 points per possession, which 1.2, 1.1, 1.2 is like considered elite tier. So 1.3 points per possession is just stupid, just ridiculous. Because that means that they're not scoring. They're scoring on set plays. They're scoring on lower. It's a lower possession game, and they're scoring out of their offense. They're not scoring on the break. They had their first fast break points after the under 4 timeout,
Right.
and so I think all of this is to say that Louisville just looks so comfortable and just so confident in themselves, regardless of Bucknell coming out the gates and making a lot of shots. They just were doing their own thing. And the other thing I would say, Kansas, Bucknell, both of these games, I made a comment and I just kind of had a just overall just train of thoughts tweet just as we're hitting the exits on Friday night against Kansas. And look, none of it is to be critical of the team. It's just saying, look, here's what I saw. Let's just lay it out. This is it. It's not an indictment of who the team is. It's 40 minutes of basketball. Here's what we saw. Here's what happened. And I said this on Friday night, and I believe this now tonight on Tuesday night, that Pat Kelsey, yes, of course they have set plays. Of course they run sets. I'm not we're not, we're not trying to play dumb here. But by the same token, I think there's very much that let's figure out who we are mentality, and a lot less of we're like locked in and prepared for Kansas. We're locked in and prepared for Bucknell. Of course they do scouting. Of course they're watching tape. Of course they're preparing for the game like they would in any other game. That's the point of this. But I think that there's a lot more of that, giving them that leash and trying to figure out, okay, well, what lineups are playing well together? Who is working cohesively together? Who's working well together as a team, as a duo, as a trio? What guards should we be playing together? What bigs feed well off of guards? This is all a learning process, just like you said, Alan. And I think it's a lot less right now what we're doing to beat the other team, and a lot more about just overall how we're playing together, how we're operating as a cohesive unit. And you saw things starting to click at that kind of under 8 timeout in the first half, and Louisville didn't really let up from that point.
Yeah, talking about that under 8 timeout, and I think I texted into the Starting 502 group chat that we have. I think I texted into that like just kind of like I kind of like did this with the stats, and then like from that 8-minute mark, and so because I wrote them down like how poorly we're shooting like every 4 minutes, and they're about the same. Go like this, right? About the 8-minute mark, we're shooting 37%. And I'm like, yeah, guys are just rusty. I think there's spacing issues. There's a little bit of communication issues. A failure to communicate, if you will. But like as from the 8-minute mark, 37% until halftime, the percentage of like our shooting percentage jumped 12% to 49%. And so like I was afraid, and like I think most everybody, like we have this PTSD that we always talk about, that I thought they were going to come out of the half and kind of have like a cold shooting slump, because I'm like, man, nobody gets that hot. So it was really encouraging to see them build on that. And I think, let's see, they even ended 50% overall. So they shot a little bit better in the second half, right? So like, I'm not going to say like, oh, everything clicked at halftime or an 8-minute mark of Bucknell, but shooting 37% and then at the under 8-minute timeout to 49%, 12% jump. I mean, I don't have the exact makes and misses in that time frame, but that is fucking insane to go from that to shoot that well in an 8-minute span And like because by that time you've already taken 20 something shots, you know what I mean? Whatever, like enough to build a nice little percentage. So to go up that quickly, that was impressive, and I'm glad that it actually like accelerated throughout just a little bit throughout the game. Like we ended with, like I said, 50%. So you added a percent by game's end. Awesome,
Yeah. I mean,
impressive.
that's what you want to see, and I mean, I think that's what you can expect of this team, right? I mean,
Hmm.
every good shooting team gets a little streaky. I mean, if you remember, not comparing this team or anybody to the Warriors, but of course, when you look at the precedent is set by the best shooting teams of all time, so we're going to talk about them in that way. I
Yep.
feel like I have to give a disclaimer to everything anymore, but anyways, when you look at the Golden State Warriors of the early 2010s, what you're seeing a lot of is some streakiness, right? You're seeing lots of, they might go 2 for 10 during a stretch from three, but that next stretch they might go 7 for 9, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's where stuff starts to even out. You find your rhythm in a sense, right? Like we talked about this a lot with Louisville football this year. A lot of ham and egging it well, offense versus defense, just finding that rhythm, just getting guys just that little extra pass that's right on cue. You're expecting your teammate to be right where he's supposed to be. You get your feet set just a little bit different. It just feels a little bit more in rhythm. It feels a little bit more right, and you're going to start seeing that, more and more over the course of the next few games. I think you're seeing some growing pains as well, but you're seeing, I think, maybe Louisville's most important non-talked about player out there right now is Isaac McNeely. You're seeing a guy like
Man.
that really kind of just come into his own, and was just really impressed with his play tonight. Again, we'll continue to sing the praises of Kobe Rogers. If that's the last that we talk about him, he has to be mentioned just because he's a damn good player, Alan. And I
Yeah.
think people are starting to see that more and more. And then obviously, Michael Brown, fantastic tonight. I think that if you needed it, he would have given you 10 plus threes. But he started to kind of dial it back as Bucknell shaded out on him a little bit more. And then he goes and gets you 6 assists tonight. So finishes with 28 points, 6 assists on the night. 6 assists, and I believe only 1 turnover. Is that correct? Yeah, that's right. So you got
Four
28 points,
rebounds.
20 in 26 minutes, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and again, that's your true freshman, Michael Brown. That's more of the game. I'm not saying that we're expecting him to make 8 threes game in and game out,
Right.
but I think that's more of the guy that we expected to see against Kansas. And I mean, you saw right after the Kansas game, he's back out there shooting free throws, getting some work in after the game. That's the type of guy that we're talking about. A guy that is relentless in the pursuit of excellence.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's going to be one of the best players in the country, not let alone on this team. And I think that you're seeing what kind of player he can be. But I mean, I think really the three guys that kind of led you tonight a little bit, and Brown, and McNeely, and then backing up Brown and Kobe Rogers. I mean, we're really solid, and then a lot more comfortability from Adrian Woolley tonight. So a lot to like. What else stood out to you? Maybe individual effort wise, it could be Kansas, it could be
Hmm.
Bucknell, but dealer's choice.
Yeah. I mean, just I'll keep it Bucknell just to piggyback off of what you were talking about, like Kobe Rogers.
Keep it a Bucknell. Sorry.
Keep it a Bucknell. Oh, um, Kobe Rogers before his first basket had 3 rebounds and 2 assists in his in the limited minutes that he had. Okay, Adrian Woolley before his first basket had 4 rebounds and 3 assists before his first basket. Um, where's the other one? Isaac McNeely. I tweeted this because I was impressed. Before his first three, right? He had 3 rebounds and 2 assists. Just moving around, trying to disrupt on defense. All these guys too. Now, mind you, like I'm not going to sit here and shit on Bucknell, but like there's something to be said for the way Pat Kelsey gets players to squeeze every ounce of like worth out of their minutes. And like I thought when we brought up Kobe, that was a great example because this is a guy that was just like hadn't shot a shot until like a few minutes left in the game, But not his primary reason he's on the floor, right? Like he knows he's not option whatever 1 to 3, 4 when he's on the floor. If Michael's not on the floor, if maybe there's another guard not on the floor that can shoot threes. So I mean, there's just oh, this thing's just telling me I have low storage or something
Low
like that.
storage,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Am I still live? Does
You're
that
still
mean
alive, baby. You're still
okay?
there.
Okay, maybe this part might not record then. I don't know. I've never seen this little command come up before, but anyway, so I guess like my whole point with that is like Pat Kelsey just has a way of getting players to buy in, right? And I think like I just named 4 players that like had pretty good stat lines if you take away how many points they end up scoring. Anyway, mind you, McNeely went on to score 18 points. You know what I mean? Woolley had an unimpressive game offensively, so did Kobe, but that doesn't mean they weren't effective. So I
Yeah.
think that's a beautiful thing. I love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the effort defensively. I think it's still a work in progress. I mean, you saw the first really 10 minutes of the game, Bucknell is playing right with you. And I mean, I think that's in large part due to number one, shots weren't falling, but number two, it was just an adjustment. It was an adjustment to Bucknell's offensive sets. And I mean, that's going to happen in the early on. I'm not too worried about that. What you like to see is that the effort was there. Guys were in the right places. The guys knew what they were supposed to be doing. They're talking. They're active hands. Just a lot of things not going your way in the early going on defense. A lot of fouls called on you, which I mean, I think that was a commonality between both of the exhibition games. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. But the fouls, the prevalence of the fouls, especially in the first halves of Kansas and Bucknell, obviously a little bit concerning. But ultimately, I mean, for the refs, it's the preseason for them too, right? And they have these emphases that they're putting on certain things in the preseason that it really ends up just kind of becoming evening out throughout the season. I don't know. I'm not too worried about that, but I definitely think that comes into play. I mean, you have Bucknell was, oh gosh, I'd have to go back and look, but I mean, they were 13 for 13 at one point. I think they were like 14 for 16 or something like that in the first half from the free throw line. So, not what you want to see when you're playing an inferior opponent in an exhibition game, but at the same time, it is what you want to see because you see them kind of overcoming that obstacle a little bit. And I mean, really, you from the 10-minute mark on, you outscored them by 23, 25 points, and it probably would have been a lot more if it was, if you keep the same rotation in and you just keep the ball rolling. So, not crazy concerned about that, but
Sure. And Paul Rogers kind of made a reference to the SMU game in the middle of the broadcast, and I was like, that is the game, because I'm sitting here like, this reminds me of a game last season, and I can't put my finger on it. And, okay, mind you, we're talking about Bucknell. I'm trying really hard not to shit on them, right?
Sure,
but, we're talking about Bucknell. But, the way the game just kind of, ramped up and, exploded, in our favor, I was like, there's a game that I'm thinking of. And he literally said it on the broadcast. I was listening to it also because I'm also, like I told you, I'm like an old man, basically.
You're an old head, yeah.
So I will listen and watch occasionally.
Did you have your binoculars?
Right, I was looking at if I was at the game, I would have had my binoculars because I usually like to buy the tickets where I can just get in the building, right, and then I'm just in there listening to Paul, watching the game, and everybody can kiss my ass. Got my little, my water bottle that I just sip on because it's $7, so I don't want to buy another one, right? But I think what you said about the referees, and this isn't my take about referees, but I happen to know a referee that coaches Division I college basketball. He's from Louisville, actually. He's like a banker. I'm not going to reveal who he is. But he kind of gives me some insight every once in a while about refereeing. And this is 100% something, if there's a new initiative before a season or whatever, they have Zooms, they have meetings, they have emails, they have if you work for the NCAA, if you work for anybody under that umbrella, they're gonna have things that they want to see. They're not just gonna be like, hey man, give it your best shot. You're certified, right? Yeah, we hired you. All right, that's not how they operate.
Right.
They're gonna be like, we're looking for you, not to say like we're going to crack down on this, but just to say like, hey, like we've noticed, in all of our studies and whatnot, like all of our meetings from the high ups, like we want to maybe put an emphasis on this or like slow down the game. Don't, out the gate, we don't want players to get hurt. It is an exhibition, so make sure you call it tight. Like things like that is what I think is going on with the exhibitions. Now, you're getting ACC play, and we're going to see some egregious things. Maybe, or maybe we'll be playing down in. I don't know who would be ref in this game, but like at Arkansas, it's just a game that pops in my head when I
Sure.
think about like a physical game.
Sure.
Just a gritty game. So I think that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a little bit of that. It's kind of like a police officer at the end of the month, right? Just gotta get your quota.
Gotta get the
Yeah,
quota.
you oh gosh, what's the South Park thing? You got to get your oh gosh, somebody in the comments help me out here. Got to get my
Yeah.
it's on the tip of my tongue. Got to get my nut. God bless. Got to get my
Is that
nut.
it? Somebody
That
tweet
is.
that.
That is.
What was the correct? Yeah, was it A, got to get my nut? Was it B, give me some? I don't know. Like, was it C, like, God damn it, or whatever? I'm just quoting
Yeah.
Cartman right now.
Got to get my nut. Got to get my nut. No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, again, there's a reason why these are practice games, right? But ultimately, were there any rotational decisions that have surprised you over the first two games? And I know it doesn't have to be anything super precise, but like, I remember looking up and we saw, a 3-guard lineup with Javon at the 4, which I love that. We saw Frew and Zoo in at the same time. And we saw Frew and Allie in at the same time. So you're going to see a little bit of that, right? You're going to see a little bit of these mix and match type of lineups, and I think that's the way that this staff likes to do it. I mean, if you're creating a team on a video game or something, or you just want to have the most possible fun with a team, this is how you create the team. You get a team that shoots a lot of threes, offensive rebounds well, no positional players, right? So you can play 4 guards and Javon Hadley down low, or you can play 2 bigs and play Javon Hadley or somebody, a Kenai Roos at the 3, right? So you can play, you can have some versatility. You can play, lack of position, if you will. Stylistically, you can do a lot of fun things. This is how you want your team to play. Run and gun, taking threes on the break, causing havoc on defense, unlimited amount of baseline out of bounds plays. Like this is the team that you design if you want to have a good time. But any other thoughts about the rotation and the way that the coaching staff is treating guys on this team?
I think Pat Kelsey reads minds, because I think the people that I've talked to, just bitching about the Kansas game, and I was one of them, hand up, right? My complaints were with Frew was about, I'm like, I really want to blame his effort. I want to blame his strength conditioning. Like these are the areas that I want to go to, because there's just a few things, that I caught in the Kansas game where he was, like when he tried to seal Flory Badunga. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Flory Badunga. No, actually, it might have been the freshman. Mbai, I don't know how to say his name. But anyway, he's trying to seal, and he just kind of he ran down to him, and he turned around and like put his hand up, right? And like he didn't have his hand in position, he didn't have his butt out, he didn't throw a forearm. Like I saw because I was watching him for a couple possessions, kind of worried about like, what are we doing, buddy? Like this is a slug. You better be ready to fight. Like, and I thought to myself like, he's been beat up the whole game. Probably he's just kind of loose. This is his limit. Like he's out of gas. So the decision to throw another big out there with him that could potentially like assist in wearing out somebody, like wearing down somebody. Maybe you guys can cause some kind of switch where, Zugris he might not be as skilled and like have finesse and like have touch and things like that. Like he's not, he's out there to be a little bit of enforcer at his best. Right. But like, if you can get him out there to kind of help you, like run guys off of, like run a man off of you to where maybe he can, like, okay, now they have to deal with him for 5 seconds, 10 seconds of a possession. Like, that takes a toll over time. And I think, like, that was really smart because Kenai Roos, as well as he did, I thought, in the several times that he was guarding, switched on Darren, I almost said Adrian Peterson, Darren Peterson, and I know, right? Darren Peterson, Marco Jackson, Trey White. I thought he did a really good job, and I think he clamped up Darren a couple of times. Like, he's more of a athletic, like, if you move, I have my tip hand, rip hand, right? I mean, I can get you one way or the other, and I'll give you some options. I really liked what I saw from Kenai Roos on tape against Kansas, but if you throw him down there with the trees, that's really not where he belongs. He can guard it. Jay Cooks has pointed this out. He can guard it really well. But I think if you're trying to wear teams down, I thought it was brilliant. Just, you're going to have to do that within conference play. I think you're going to have to do it against teams like Clemson, potentially Duke. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, boy, roll your eyes at that one because, you think Duke's just going to out-athlete you. You'd be surprised, like, with a little bit of conditioning, you throw a guy like Zugris down there. I'm not saying Fru's a weak ass. I'm just saying, like, give him a buddy down there. And I can't wait till Kason Pryor comes back. I think that's going to change the game completely because he could do several things at his healthiest. But that's just to talk about the bigs that you talked about, Zugris and Fru on the floor at the same time. Ali has a little bit more of a different role. I'm just looking for his he had 2, 2, and 5. Another guy that's just so, like, skilled, 6'11", doing that, 5 assists. I think 4 of them were in the first half. A couple were on that run. So, yeah, I mean, throw him out there. But, like, Zugris, if he can embrace that role, that's going to go a long way for us.
Louisville tonight, winners 99-76 against Bucknell. Much better showing.
Cole Sherman.
Much better showing tonight for the Cards. Shout out Cole Sherman getting in the game. It didn't count. It didn't matter, Cole.
Yeah.
You'll make it when it matters.
Yeah.
Louisville finishes 8 for 16 from 2-point range.
Mm-hmm.
23 for 46 from 3.
Crazy, isn't it? Isn't that
pretty wild?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
It's pretty wild. 14 for 18 from the line. 3 for 9 on layups. Thought that was interesting. And while 3 for 9 on layups, 33% on layups. So they shot 50% from 3, 33% on layups.
So that's, like, down under, like, who shot the layups? That's advanced.
That's just a specialty stat. I think you gotta have the old ultra secret super insider subscriber knowledge to have that. You got to be, like, on the Ken Palm dark web to have individual layup stats. In all seriousness, though, 3 for 9 on layups, 4 for 4 on dunks. So some quick math there. There were 3 shots taken all night that were not threes or literally at the rim. That's all you need to know about Pat Kelsey basketball. That's efficiency right there. You're taking threes or you're taking layups. Everything in between is a waste of time. And I don't mean to be like that, but that's his mindset. That's the logic behind it. Like, if a team is going to give you a mid-range shot, Louisville's going to take it. But that's not what their aim is. That's not what their goal is. I think that, if you are a fan coming, that just came from Mars and dropped in on Earth, and you're just learning about this team watching Bucknell and Kansas, obviously your worry is that, what the hell happens when we don't make shots? We're just going to lose every game. But that's not reality, right? That's Pat Kelsey basketball. That's the way that Louisville is going to play. If a team allows them to shoot 46 threes, they're going to freaking take 46 threes, dude. Like, that's right. that's the strategy there. I mean, there's the math behind. If you take an open 2 versus taking an open 3, it's worth 33% more. Even if I don't know what the exact math is. Somebody explain this in a more logical way, but it makes sense to me, right? If you're taking an open layup or you have an open 3, you'd rather have the open 3. You would have to shoot. What is it? You'd have to shoot. oh gosh, I don't even know what the exact number is, but basically 33% better from two in order to make that equal. I don't know what the
Yeah.
exact explanation is, but Pat Kelsey has an explanation, and a lot of these coaches that are taking this strategy, taking this modernized way of looking at basketball and running with it, right? So most of the threes or excuse me, most of the layups and dunks that you got were off of inbounds plays, right? Not a lot of
Hmm.
that, you know, screen off the top of the key, taking your man off the dribble type of offense tonight, or against Kansas for that matter. This is absolutely a team, even more than last year, that is built for this exactly how this coaching staff wants to coach. So I, I think there's some exciting times ahead. And Alan, to your point as well, as we get near towards the end here, to your point, I think that once Case and Pryor comes back, this is an even more complete team. And I think that
Yeah.
some of the concerns that fans may have will go away once Case and Pryor is back and healthy. And I think that some of the other concerns that people may have will go away just a little bit when a game is officiated more like a normal regular season game and not there were a lot of plays tonight that I thought were questionable that really took away from the
Yeah.
flow of the
Odd.
game and allowed Bucknell to stay in it for a long time.
Yeah. Do you? I have a question for you. As far as this game goes, the way things played out from the 8 minute mark that we talked about until the end of the game. Now, on social media, the answer is emphatically yes. Does this game change the narrative about this team? Right? Social media, absolutely. Like, let's book tickets for the Final Four. I thought we looked great. We had our freshman that we've been bragging about. Hit 8 threes and scored 28 points. But do you think in the short sample size, the small sample size that we have, do you think? Because I think across the nation in the past, how many days has it been since Friday? Like 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think the vast majority of people are like, well, I think either like the narrative is more. It's more about Kansas than it is us for the most part. Like everybody's like, I think Kansas is better than we thought, but I think there's a small bit of the pundits that are like, I think Louisville has some gelling to do. I think they can shoot. I think they can do this, but like I think Michael needs to settle down. I think they need to gel. Do you think this game changes that narrative, like to the positive, or do you think everybody's like, well, it's Bucknell, of course?
That's Alan. I think it's a bit of a loaded question, but I'll answer it in this way. I don't think any differently of this team right now than I did 5 days ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the Kansas game told you a lot more about who you are than the Bucknell game did. Bucknell gives you more opportunity to kind of come into your own and redefine who you are. And we'll have
Yeah,
a few more of those games in the regular season. But I think that Kansas is the more important game because that shows you who you're going to be. That's a litmus test for what the expectation is at the end of the season. So, in my personal opinion, I don't think anything changes about the way that I view this team from 5 days
right.
ago. Now, I think it does confirm the Bucknell game does confirm what my thoughts were about the team heading into the Kansas game. And I think that any reasonable mind, I think that anybody that has watched enough basketball in their day, and I think you'd probably agree with this too, Alan. I think anybody that was reasonable could understand if Louisville didn't beat Kansas in the first game, right? Like I don't think that the expectation was Louisville's going to go in there and blow the doors off of this team. They have
Yeah.
a Hall of Fame Ozempic taking head coach who is damn good and has national championships under his belt for a reason. They have potentially the number one overall pick in the NBA draft, and they have a lot of really dangerous pieces around him, including some bigs that gave our bigs absolute fits. And at the end of the day, they made more shots than Louisville did, and that's how you get an 8 point victory. I don't think that's the end of the
Yeah.
world, but I think that showed you a lot more about who Louisville is, and I think it kind of tempered. I don't think it tempered expectations, but I think it set expectations correctly, right? I mean, Any team that's of Kansas's skill set is going to give you that kind of game, unless it's just a
Yeah.
complete off night. I thought that Louisville played pretty poorly overall, and I thought that Kansas played pretty well overall. To kind of, I know this is like a 2-minute answer, and I apologize, but
No,
I
it's
think
great.
that for me personally, I think almost exactly the same of this team as I did on Thursday.
Hmm.
Overall, I think that people are still in wait and see mode just a little bit. And I think that, like you said, Twitter is very reactionary. We live in this echo chamber where all of a sudden,
Hmm.
yeah, this is a top 5 team, and Michael Brown is the he's going to be the player of the year in the ACC, and he's a top 5 draft pick. You lock it in, and it just we're reactionary. I mean, and what fun would this be if we were just like, oh well, let's just have some tempered expectations now, guys.
Hmm.
You're
Yep.
called a fan, a fanatic for a reason. You're absolutely allowed to feel how you want. I would just say that overall, I feel about the same, and I'm really excited for Monday.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. I mean, like, I think for Kansas, for me, was kind of like a what the fuck moment, like where I was just like, I thought this team, you know what I mean? I thought this team would shoot lights out and shoot like they did today, like out the gate and just impress everybody and be overly impressive. Um, and the way it just kind of happened was kind of like over and over again. Just not moving the ball, getting beat in 50-50 balls, like really bad. You were just out schemed, like I said, by a head coach that had 2 or whatever it was, 3 or 4 months to prepare for you. So all those little cute little, these aren't even sets, but that cute little part of our offense where we sneak the shooter, Isaac McNeely, Rain Smith behind 3 or 4 guys, that wasn't working. The little dump down, the surprise dump down where Frew acts like, or he acts like he's coming up to be for like, say it's a guard going down to be pinned down, to pin down his man. That instead he just posts up. That wasn't working either because whether it's Frew needs to get in the weight room or whether it was the help defense was there all game just wearing him down, so it wasn't going to work either way. Just like I think the Kansas game, our output, the way that felt, the way it looked, and like I did rewatch the game, and it was just like shots weren't falling. I think you've got like maybe two. I don't want to be like hyperbolic. Maybe 2 to 4 games like that this year, where you're going to have to figure something else out when the shots just aren't falling from anyone. Um, I think games like tonight is going to be, you might have like 5 to 7 that feel this good, and then everything else is going to be in between where you're just going to have to, I mean, like it's not all, peaches and rainbows or whatever. It's also not all, the depths of Mordor. So it's like Pat Kelsey's, I thought he was great down the stretch in ACC play last year. I don't expect any different. I think some of the games are going to be curveballs with teams that we just don't match up well with, but we'll get to those on this podcast, and we'll get to them in our live chats or whatever. Um, but yeah, like I'm the same. I'm the same way with you. I think, like down the stretch tonight, I was kind of like I was breathing easy, knowing that they continued the onslaught from. I think they were just feeling themselves like basketball is a game of confidence. So, yeah, I'm surprised that the shooting percentage went up after halftime, but I'm not surprised that they continued to shoot well, I guess. So I think this is not exactly who this team is, but this is shades of the team that we know, the team that we want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the place where they have the longest way to go is on defense, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
the next evolution of this team is to get the pace of the game to where the coaching staff expects it to be. Right? I mean, you had a solid amount of possessions tonight. You finished with 76 possessions, I believe, which is by 73 possessions. So by last year's metrics, about what one would come to expect,
Mm-hmm.
Louisville ran anywhere from the high 60s to mid to high 70s last year. Early in the season, though, we saw much more of those high 70s possessions than you did once you lose Case and Pryor, and then you lose Noah Waterman, and I mean you name the whole list of players that were out. Basically, you can list off the roster except for Javon Hadley, and so the possession numbers went down. I think that ultimately, and Alan, as you go off recording, I think that ultimately, that's the takeaway is that the next evolution is that you start creating a few more turnovers, and you start creating a few more extra possessions, and then this team is really becoming that final evolution. And I think part of that is getting Kason Pryor back, because he's a guy that can play the 5 spot for you, that can play the 4 spot for you, that can be very interchangeable in a lot of different ways. But he brings that last really missing piece that Louisville has to this point, until you get a Sananda Frew a little bit more up to speed, and you get Evangelos Zugris up to speed just a little bit more, right? So I think that's the final evolution. 9 o'clock on Saturday. What a way to start the season. Louisville hosts South Carolina State in a game that, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know jack shit about South Carolina State, Alan. But what I can say is that it's the expectation is going to be for Louisville to win by a wide margin. 9 o'clock, Monday night, and we will be right back here with you next week for a Starting 502 podcast. Any other final comments before we get out of here?
Shout out Javon Hadley. He had 11, 2, and 3, 6 of 6 from the line. That's huge, and that's very encouraging, because he's gonna not live down there, but he can make a good living down there. 6 of 6 free throws from one dude. It shows leadership. So shout out to Javon. I love to see that.
Javon Hadley, again, just the consummate professional. Just gives you exactly what you need night in and night out.
Yes.
Make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel if you've not already and you're watching on the tube. Make sure that you follow Alan at card_Al, I believe is what we are.
At your own risk. Follow at your own risk.
At your own risk. He's pretty funny. At least I think so. I don't know. If there's one Alan Thomas fan out there, if there's 0 Alan Thomas fans, I'm dead. Follow me at Pressmeyer. Follow us at the State of Lou on the X, and we're making a glow up. We're making a come up on. Oh God, I just sounded so washed right there.
IG.
We're glowing up. We're glowing up on the IG. I know Alan is not a user of IG because he goes to the Peddler's Mall instead of scrolling the Instagram big bubblegum booty baddies as we get into the midnight hours here. Folks, that's about all we got. That's about all we got. Next time, I want to see some more action from the chat. Make sure you jump into the chat either on X or on YouTube. Until next time, Starting 502 Podcast. Let's get out of here and go Cards.
Go Cards.